Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Avijit Chaki, and today we are going to solve stress and strain, rest of the question. Up till now we have done till uh, 23 questions, which was in the year 2011. Now this question came in the year 2012. These are all GATE questions. Okay, this came in the year GATE 2012. So on with the question. The Poisson's ratio is defined as option A, B, C, or D. Now, Poisson's ratio is defined as lateral strain by longitudinal strain. Negative sign, with a negative sign. Okay. So it is defined as a negative sign of lateral strain by longitudinal strain. Therefore, if we take modulus, we can write it that modulus of lateral strain by longitudinal strain. Okay. Also, longitudinal strain is also known as axial strain. So therefore, we can write it as lateral strain by axial strain. With a modulus. So for in this case, our correct option is B. Okay. Now on to the next question. Question number 25. Creep strain. Option A, caused due to dead load only. Option B, caused due to live load only. Option C, caused due to cyclic load only. Option D, independent of load. Now, creep is a time dependent process. This creep is a time dependent process, and creep strain occurs due to constant load. That is, this came in the year 2013. Question number 25 came in the year GATE 2013. Okay, and creep is a time dependent process. Creep is a time and creep strain occurs due to constant loading. Constant loading means dead load. Which is always present. So here our option is A, caused due to dead load only. Okay. On to the next question. 1.26 came in the year 2014. Okay. Now, what does the question states? A box of weight 100 kg shown in the figure. This is the figure. The box is given as 100 kilonewton. Is to be lifted without swinging. This is the keyword. Without swinging. If all the forces are coplanar and the magnitude and direction of the force F with respect to the x-axis should be, we need to find this F and x along x-axis and this theta. Okay, so we need to find F and theta along with the x-axis, not with the y but with the x. Okay, now question number 26 came in the year 2014. Okay, first what is given to us is that it says that the box will move along the direction without swaying. Now what does this mean? It means without swinging means there is no moment generated. There is no moment generated. It also means that forces are balanced. That is, equation of equilibrium is maintained. And what are those? Summation of fx equal to 0 and summation of fy is equal to 0. Okay. Now for the diagram, what is given that this is the weight. Here this is acting at 100 kilonewton. Okay. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Okay. Now at an angle 30 degree, there is a force. At an angle 40 degree or 45 degree, there is another force. Let me draw the diagram first. This is 90 kilonewton. Okay, and the angle is 30 degree. This is 40 kilonewton and the angle is 45 degree. This is our required force F and our required angle is this theta along with the x-axis. Okay. Now we are going to simplify this. That is, we are going to consider all the forces acting along x and y direction. So to do that, first let me draw an axis. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. And Along y-axis, there are forces like this one, this 90 kilonewton will act along the y-axis as 90 sine 30 degree. So it will act as 90 sine 30 degree. Similarly, this 40 kilonewton at an angle 45 will also act here, that is along the y-axis, as 40 sine 45 degree. Also, this F force will be acting along the y as plus F sine theta. Okay. Along the negative x direction, a force will be acting which is 90 cos 30 degree. Okay. Also, along the x-axis, positive x-axis, forces will be acting like 40 cos 45 degree plus F cos theta. Okay. Along the negative y-axis, this weight will be acting, that is 100 kilonewton. Okay. Now we are going to take summation of Fx equal to 0. Therefore, from this diagram we can see that what are the forces acting along the x. One is 90 cos 30 degree, one is 40 cos 45 degree, and F cos theta. Okay. Therefore, we can write it as 90 cos 30 degree is equal to 40 cos 45 degree plus F of cos theta. Okay. Therefore, we can write it as 90 into cos 30 means root 3 by 2. Okay. Is equal to 40 into 1 upon root over of 2 plus F of cos theta. Okay. After solution, we get that this is 77.942 and this is 28.284 plus F cos theta. Okay. Therefore, we can write that F cos theta is equal to 49.658. Okay. This is in kilonewton. This is our equation number 1. Okay. Now, for summation of Fy equal to 0, we can write it as, now what are the summation? This is 90 sine 30 degree, 40 sine 45 degree, and F of sine theta is equal to 100, right? Okay. Now for the solution, 90 into half f of sine theta plus this will be same 40 into 1 by root 2. So we can write it as 40 into 1 upon root 2 is equal to 100. Okay. So therefore we can write that f of sine theta is equal to 100 minus, this is 90 minus half, or 90 into half is 45 degree, 45 minus 28.284. Okay. Therefore the value we are getting is f of sine theta is equal to 26.716. This is in kilonewton. This is our equation number 2. Okay. Therefore, you can write it as from 1 and 2, from equation 1 and 2, we get that f sine theta by f cos theta is equal to, so from equation 1 and 2 we can write that f sine theta by f cos theta is equal to 26.716 by 49.658. Okay. Therefore we can write that tan theta is equal to 0.5379. Okay. Therefore we can write it like theta is equal to tan inverse 0.5379, which is equal to 28.28 degree. Okay, 28.28 degree. Therefore we can write that f sine 28.28 degree is equal to 26.716. Okay. Therefore f is equal to 26.716. Now sine of 28.28 degree means 0.4737 is equal to 56.390 kilonewton. So our required answer is F is equal to 56.390 kilonewton and theta is 28.28 degrees. Okay. So therefore from our option it is option number A, 56.389 kilonewton. We have received 56.390 kilonewton, 1 kilonewton difference, not much, and theta is 28.28 degree. Okay. Now on to the next question, question number 27. The value of axial stress sigma in kilonewton per meter square, bending moment M in kilonewton meter, and shear force V in kilonewton acting at the point P for the arrangement shown in the figure are respectively this. Now we need to find the axial stress, bending moment and shear force at the section P. It is given that PQ is a beam, okay, and cable is attached at the point C. This cable is of cross section 0.2 into 0.2, so it is a square. This cable is a square. The cross section is given to us, okay. Now this cable is attached to a weight 50 kilonewton which is acting downward. This pulley is frictionless, okay. This pulley is absolutely frictionless. First of all, this question came in the year 2014, okay. This question came in the year 2014, GATE 2014. GATE 2014. Now, question number 27 came in the year 2014. Okay. So first we need to find the axial stress. So we're going to write it as to find sigma first we need to draw the diagram, okay. This is the fixed end. Now this is the long cable, okay. Therefore, the long cable which is attached to a weight 50 kilonewton at its bottom will produce a tensile force in the cable, okay. This is the tensile force. This is 50 kilonewton tensile force. This is 50 kilonewton tensile force. Here the pulley is acting. This is the frictionless pulley. Okay. And this is the cable. Okay. The cable is producing a tensile force of 50 kilonewton. Now, what is given there? The cross section of the pulley is given to us. Say for example, if this is the cable, okay, this is the cable, this is the cable, and the cross section here, this is a cross section. Okay, the force is acting like this. The cross section is given as 0.2 meter, 0.2 meter. Okay, therefore we can write that axial stress is equal to axial load, or in this case the tensile load P upon cross sectional area. Okay, therefore we can write it as 50 kilonewton by 0.2 into 0.2 meter square. It will gives us 1250. It is in kilonewton per meter square. Okay, this is the axial stress. Now, to find the bending moment and shear force, we need to analyze the beam as a cantilever beam. Say for example, this is our cantilever beam. Okay, a load is acting like this. This point is P, this point is Q. Okay, the load which is acting is like this, 50 kilonewton. Okay, therefore a deflection will occur like this in the downward direction. This is the deflected shape of the beam. Okay, this is delta, the deflection. So now, for a cantilever beam with a point load at its free end, we need to draw the shear force diagram. The shear force will be like this. Okay, this is positive. This is 50 kilonewton. This is the SFD, shear force diagram. Okay, also we need to draw the bending moment diagram as well. This is the bending moment diagram, BMD. This is negative. Okay, at its end, the value is 150 kilonewton meter. Okay, now here the shear force diagram is a constant. This is P, this is Q. So throughout of the beam, shear force remains constant, whereas the bending moment diagram is linear of 1 degree. Therefore, we can write the bending moment M is equal to, which is 50, into the length of the beam is 3 meter. Therefore, 50 into 3, which is 150 kilonewton meter. Okay, it is producing a hogging moment acting like this. This is the moment. Okay, and shear force V is equal to, which remains constant, 50 kilonewton. Okay, so our correct option is option number B, 120, 150 and 50. Okay, now remember, this is a 2 marks question. This is very important. It is simple but yet full of concept. Now for the next question. Question number 28 came in the year 2015. Okay, a tapered circular rod of diameter carrying from 220 millimeter to 10 millimeter is connected to another uniform circular rod of diameter 10 millimeter. Now this is a tapered circular diameter rod. The diameter at the top region is 20 millimeter. At the bottom it is 10 millimeter. It is connected with a uniform cross-sectional circular rod of diameter 10 millimeter as shown in the figure. Okay, both bars are made up of same material with modulus of elasticity E is equal to 2 into 10 to the power 5 MPa. Okay, when subjected to a load of P is equal to 30 kilonewton pi or 30 pi kilonewton, the deflection at the point A is, we need to find the deflection at point A. Now from this figure it is noticeable that the figure is in series connection. This is series connection. Okay, end-to-end connection, and the load is acting along the longitudinal axis, so it is series connection. Now what we need to do is that we need to draw the free body diagram of this structure. So on to that. Question number 28. Now let us draw. Okay, the diameter is 20 millimeter and this is 10 millimeter. Okay, you can write it as D2 is equal to 20 millimeter and D1 is 10 millimeter. Similarly, here the diameter is 10 millimeter. Okay, the length is 2 meter. The length is 1.5 meter. Okay. Load which is acting here is like this. Thirty pi kilonewton, 30 pi kilonewton. Okay. Now, in the question it is given that this is point C, this point is B, this point is also B, this is A. Okay. Okay. Now, there is a formula, that is, for a tapered circular rod, for a tapered circular rod, here BC, deflection or the delta length is given as 4 PL by pi D1 D2 E. P is the load, which is this is P. Okay, this is L, 2 meter is the length, pi is pi, D1 and D2 is already given, D2 is 20 millimeter, D1 is 10 millimeter. Okay. Also, for uniform circular rod, BA, now this is delta CB. Okay, delta 2 is given as delta L BA. Okay, is equal to PL by AE. A is the cross sectional area, E is the Young's modulus. Okay. Now, note it down, this is very important. Now, this is the FBD. FBD, free body diagram. Okay. Now, there is another important concept, is that unit. The data which is given to us is MPa. So, we are going to convert MPa into Newton per millimeter square. How to do that? 1 MPa is equal to 10 to the power 3 kPa, kilopascal. Okay, which is also known as 10 to the power 3 kilonewton per meter square. Now, we know 10 to the power 6 is Newton per meter square. Now, we are going to convert 1 millimeter square in 1 meter square into millimeter square. That is 10 to the power 6 by 10 to the power 6. The unit is in Newton per millimeter square. Therefore, we get 1 Newton per millimeter square. Therefore, 1 MPa is equivalent to 1 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, this is important. Very, very important. Write it down. Therefore, deflection, that is total deflection at A, is equal to, given at delta L CB plus delta L BC or BA, which is delta 1 plus delta 2. This is the total deflection at the point A. Okay. It is given as PL by A plus 4 PL by pi D1 D2 E. Okay. Now we are going to write the values. P is 30 pi kilonewton. So we are going to convert it to Newton. 30 pi into 10 to the power 3. Okay. Length is in meter. It is 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 millimeter. Okay. By the area is given as pi by 4 into 10 square. The diameter is 10. Okay. Into Young's modulus is given as 2 into 10 to the power 5. Okay. Now 2 into 10 to the power 5, 2 into 10 to the power 5 MPa is equal to 2 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per millimeter square. Okay. P is the load, which is 30 pi kilonewton is equal to 30 pi into 10 to the power 3 Newton. Area, this is A1. Let me suppose this to be A1 is equal to pi by 4 D1 square. Okay. Now plus 4. Similarly, P is 30 pi into 10 to the power 3. L is 2 into 10 to the power 3 by pi. D1 is 20 or D2 is 20 and D1 is 10. E is 2 into 10 to the power 5. Okay. Now everything, the value is in millimeter. This is important. The values are in millimeter. So after solving, we get that it is 9 plus 6. Okay. Millimeter. So our value is 15 millimeter. Now this is our answer. Okay. This is our answer. Our answer is 15 millimeter. So this is 15 millimeter. Okay. Now for question number 29. An elastic isotropic body is in a hydrostatic state of stress as shown in the figure. For no change in volume to occur, what should be its Poisson's ratio? Now, this is the body given to us. Okay. Let me zoom in. Okay. Now, the body is given to us. This is sigma x, this is sigma y, and this is sigma z. Okay. Now, in this body, we can say that this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. Okay. We can say it like this. Now, let us take this to be L. This length along x-axis to be L. Okay. Length along z-axis to be B. And length along y-axis to be D. Okay. We are considering this. Let. Now, what is given to us is that we need to find the Poisson's ratio when there is no change in volume to occur. So therefore, first we need to understand what is volumetric strain. Okay. This is question number 29. Question number 29 came in the year 2016. Okay. GATE 2016. Now, we need to understand volumetric strain. Volumetric strain is otherwise known as dilatation. Now, what is volumetric strain? It is given as epsilon V, change in volume by total volume. This is change in volume. By original okay. This is given as delta L upon L plus delta B upon B plus delta D upon D. Okay, which is equivalent to stress along X or strain along X axis plus strain along Y axis plus strain along Z axis. Now, is given as sigma X plus sigma Y plus sigma Z by E within bracket 1 minus 2 mu. Okay, mu is the Poisson's ratio. Mu is the Poisson's ratio. So we can write it that this entity is equal to delta V, which is change in volume, by original volume. Okay. So we can write it like this. Delta V is equal to sigma x, sigma y, sigma z by E 1 minus 2 mu into volume. Okay. Now what is given to us is that the stresses are hydrostatic. Okay. The stresses are hydrostatic stresses of stress. Therefore, what does this mean? It means that sigma x is equal to sigma y is equal to sigma z. Say let this to be sigma. Therefore, we can write that 3 sigma upon E one minus 2 mu into volume. Okay. Therefore, for no change in volume, delta V should be 0. Therefore, we can write that 0 is equal to 3 times sigma by E within bracket 1 minus 2 mu into volume. Okay. Therefore, we can write that 1 minus 2 of mu is equal to 0. It implies that mu is equal to half, which is 0.5. Okay. This is our answer. For no change in volume and as well as the stresses being in hydrostatic condition, our value is C, 0.50. Okay. This is important. This is very, very important. Came in the year GATE 2016. Okay. Very important. Now, on to the next question. This question came in the year GATE 2017. What is given to us? Let us see the question first. An elastic bar of length L, uniform cross-sectional area A, coefficient of thermal expansion alpha, Young's modulus E is fixed at 2 Okay. The temperature of the bar is increased by T degrees Celsius. The result in an axial stress sigma. Keeping all other parameters unchanged, if the length of the bar is double, the axial stress will be which of this? Now, for this question, 30, we need to draw a beam first, or a cross-sectional rod. This is the cross-sectional rod. It is fixed at both ends. Okay, this is fixed. This is also fixed. Now, what is given to that is that cross-sectional area A is given. The length is L. Young's modulus is E. Okay. And it is saying that the temperature is increasing. So what happens is that when the temperature increases, the length will want to increase. Okay. That is, we can write that change in thermal expansion or delta L, that is change due to thermal expansion is equal to L alpha del T, where del T is the change in temperature alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion okay, length of rod. Okay, this is important. Okay, therefore, from Hooke's law, we know that stress upon strain is known as Young's modulus. Okay, therefore, we can write that stress is equal to strain into Young's modulus. Strain is given as delta L by L into E. Now, this is given as L alpha del T by L into E. Okay, this is cancelling out. Therefore, we can write it as alpha del T into E. This is sigma. This is thermal stress. Okay, this is thermal stress. Now, from this equation, it is clear that the thermal stress does not depend upon the length of the rod. It depends upon coefficient of thermal expansion, the change in temperature, and the Young's modulus. So, when L is double, that is when the length is double, when L becomes 2L, sigma will remain unchanged. Okay, as sigma is equal to independent of length. Okay,